Hi, everyone. This is Donna Savage with Talk with Savage Desires. Today, I have this phenomenal woman by the name of Shireen. And one of the reasons, before we get into anything, I seen Shireen on social media inspiring women upon women and with her daily quotes. And that prompted me to invite her to have this discussion. Wanted to talk to her about her overcoming bad habits, how she changed herself. But before we get all into that, Shireen, thank you so much for joining me today.
Oh, thank you for having me, Donna. I was so honored when you asked me, and I was like, me? So yes,
Yes,
I'm glad to
you.
be here.
Why not
Nice to
you?
be it's nice to be seen. It's nice to be seen. So I
Mhm.
appreciate that very much.
Awesome. So, Shireen, what is your title? Who is Shireen?
Hmm. Well, Shireen is many, many women, but right now I would label myself as a change specialist. And why I say that is my passion has always been um, embracing new things and taking chances, and when there's something that happens, it's like looking for the positive side of things. So I applied that to work, and so I was able to build a brand, and I started a business last year as a change manager or a change specialist or a change enthusiast. But I realized that even though I wanted to help businesses embrace change, I have had to embrace change. And that probably what led me into that passion, but not even realizing it for myself, how much I've changed. And a lot of the change only happened within the last few years. So this is why, I realized, yeah, I'm going to take that name. I'm going to hold on to and embrace that title.
Okay, so Shireen, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to take you back
Okay.
before you realize that this beautiful person in front of me who's a change specialist was birth. Who was Shireen before this person that was birth?
Hmm.
So we need to go
Well,
back in order for me to come forward because I want to
okay.
make people realize that as much as I am here and I'm
Hmm.
arrived, but I had to go through hurdles in order to get here. So carry me upon that story. Share
Yeah.
that story with me, please.
You want me to go way back, way,
And
way back?
you never go way, way back, but way back. So we're gonna speak one way, but way back.
Okay. That's,
Or just a quick synopsis.
okay, okay, because yeah, I'm not 20. So, um, I would say I would go back about maybe 10 or so years, in the sense where, I was in a toxic marriage, and in a marriage that it started off really good. Started off really good. I think both of us just weren't clear on what we wanted and understood our roles and so forth. But I also don't put it all, like, both of us had a different type of upbringing. And I know for me, it was a very lonely childhood. And a lot of people don't know that because they see me smiling. I was the eldest of five children, the only girl, and not really realizing that there was a lot of pain that I was hiding. And I didn't even realize that I was hiding this pain. I just kind of kept going through, going through, going through. And so, getting into another level of life, you feel like, okay, things are going to change and things are going to get better. But I felt like I was so suppressed. There was like a inner, like that inner child, but inner part of me that had such a drive, such a ambition, but I felt like it was suppressed. And not to put any blame on anyone, it's also myself not allowing myself to be my true self, and going through the motions and doing what everyone say you're supposed to do, go school and finish school, and then you find a husband and you get married and then you have the children, and so everything was aligned in that way, but I still wasn't feeling fulfilled. And I almost got to the point where it was like, okay, well, I guess this is my life, and I accepted that. But I could only do that so much. And I noticed a change as the children were starting to grow. I said, but this is not how I want them to see me. This is not who I really am. And when I had to, yes.
Okay, how were you showing up for your children for make you have that inner talk with yourself?
I think I was just doing the bare minimum, like, making sure they're fed, making sure
Mm,
having, the basic necessities. So nobody say that, oh, they're not being taken care of and their hair look good and all that stuff. But I don't think I was really involved. I don't think I was really present. You know, there was a lot of times I was very exhausted and I was doing a job that I didn't really love, but it was paying the bills and making sure they're taken care of. And I had such a drive to make sure. It's like, I didn't, even though there was things going on the inside, it's like I don't want people to see that. I don't want to, and it's like I want to make sure that when they see me and or see my children that, oh, they're well taken care of, not realizing that I was dying inside. And that's when I had to take that step. And I lost, well, I wouldn't say lost, I was downsized from a really a really good job. And sometimes we put ourselves as we are the job and everything is the job. But I know that wasn't me, because I wasn't a yes woman. And I think that's why I was the one just downsized, because I was not going to be a yes woman. And I never conformed to what they wanted to be done. So who do you put out first is the one that's not compliable. But with all that happening, I realized that the real me wasn't there, and I needed to make a change. I needed to do something different. And a lot of it, yes, was driven because I wanted my children to have a better life. I wanted them to see, and it wasn't even an ego thing to say, well, I can do this and I want them to see that. But I just realized life has to be better. There has to be something more. And staying in the marriage and dying inside could not be what is more. It's like I'd rather do without and scrape, and which I had to do. I had to, I left with nothing. I didn't have a job. And somebody might say you're crazy to take 4 children and decide to go out on your own. I didn't ask anyone's permission. I didn't consult with anyone. I didn't ask anyone, well, what do you think? I just prayed about it, and I realized, well, if I stay here and I die, then who's going to take care of these children? Right?
Wow. It's so funny. You're telling your story, and I can only imagine how many women are going to be aligned with your story because you're speaking, and I
Yeah.
see my story in you.
Yes.
4 children.
Yeah.
When I
Yeah.
left my ex, was unemployed. I was on unemployment.
Mm.
So you see what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah. Mhm.
And to see the journey where you're coming from to where you are today. And so you and your husband were together for 10 years, you said?
16 years.
16 years, but you left 10
Yeah.
years ago.
Yeah. Yeah. 10 years
Okay,
ago.
okay. Wow.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
do you, so in your thoughts,
Yeah.
now that when you're looking back, when you got connected with your husband, obviously based on your story,
Hmm.
you were having issues. Let's
Yeah.
call it for that.
Yeah.
You were a little bit broken. Call it for
Yeah.
what it is.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely.
Yeah. Was your husband also a broken person too?
It's really hard to say, because now when I think back, we really didn't share a lot of who we were. A lot of, because I'm a very reserved person and I'm still struggling with that now. I'm getting better, but I know I felt like I kept a lot of things inside. And when I tried to express it, it wasn't received, or it wasn't, well, I can't deal with that, or I don't know what you're talking about, that kind of a thing. So it was very difficult. So it just made me realize, yes, keep it in. No, like no one's going to want to hear about you, or no one's going to want to understand your pain. But I think for him, growing up in a different type of environment, um, I wouldn't consider him broken. I just think he just lacks some of the skills that are needed in dealing, and this is from any kind of walk of life, men and women, situations and stuff, but also the responsibility of being a parent, where that is kind of what helped break it down as well. Because even though I was broken, I didn't know what was going on with me. I knew my role as a mother. I knew what I had to do, and I was willing to sacrifice. And it's really hard to build with someone who's not willing to do that, you know?
So, okay, so how did you feel? Okay, what prompted you, first of all,
Hmm.
to get up and said enough is enough?
Yeah. It's because I felt like I was dying inside. Like I just felt like this is not how I want to live. And I was always unhappy. I was, even if I tried to pursue something or do something, I just wasn't really present. And I was doing it to kind of maybe cover that pain or try to fill that void. But it was like, I can't do this. I can't, like, I just felt like if continue this way, I'm like, when I mean die, I mean like, my soul, my who I was afraid of going into a depression as well, and just giving up altogether. And I'm like, I can't do this. I can't do this. So it was a very hard decision to make. And for the first couple of years, it was like, what am I doing? What am I doing? What am I doing? But I really didn't see any kind of breakthrough till about maybe 5 years or so ago, because during that time I was either working part-time, getting assistance, would do a contract for a short time and stop. And it wasn't until a couple of years ago that I was able to secure a full-time job. And from that, I was able to kind of rebuild my life,
Hmm.
rebuild my confidence, and
Hmm.
even make connections with people where, oh, they understood what I was going through, or they were sympathetic, or they understood, and finding that support. So it's been a long 10 years, but the last 5 years, I have to say, it's just phenomenal. I would say even the last year is really where that change really came in. And even over those course of, I would say, about maybe 3 or 4 years ago, when I really started to think, okay, so things are getting better, but I had to change my mindset. And that's where I think is where the pivotal change came in. I started listening to podcasts. I started listening to meditations that talk about living a better life, living the law of attraction. It was strange that somebody had sent this to me, and I just thought, like, why did this man send this to me? We don't communicate now because it wasn't that kind of a connection, but it was just like he started like, you're not even using your own medicine. Like, you're giving me this, but you're complaining about all the things that's going through your life. I said, well, you gave me something that's helping me. You should use it for yourself. And I found that just focusing on listening to positive voices or positive messages and just reading things that were positive, I felt like I started to kind of, increase the positivity and decrease the negativity.
But that's just it, right? Because
Yeah.
remember, we're programs.
Right.
Like from when we were kids, we've always been told what to do,
Right.
even verbally or or just by action. So
Right.
we're
Right.
holding on to these negative things all the time. So I'm not surprised that no, you're rewiring your brain
Yes.
to get to be the person who you're meant to be.
Exactly.
Because
Exactly.
honestly, Shireen, we are being hypnotized from the moment that we realize and recognize words. People are saying
Right.
it's from birth to 7 years old. But I
Right.
can tell you, it's even way before that. This has been happening from we were in the womb,
Right. Right.
you know?
Right.
And so we've been hypnotized forever. And it's phenomenal. It's amazing that you snapped out of it.
Yeah.
And you're
Yeah.
saying this journey has been happening for 10 years, and it just literally happened maybe a year and a half ago. So it literally took you 8 years to rewire your brain.
Yeah.
Okay, so I know you said you're 21, so you can imagine 21
Yeah.
years of program
Yeah.
that you are rewiring
Yeah.
in the last in 2 years.
Yeah.
And in saying this though, we have a lot more work to do,
Right.
but it has
Right.
started.
Right. Right.
And you're
Right. Oh
seeing
my
this,
gosh.
and you're
Yes.
owning it.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Because I see your stuff. I told you I see you, and I see the stuff that you post,
Yeah.
and you inspire me that I
Yeah.
should get up and
Wow.
go post more. And
Wow.
then I said, Sharon is doing it, I'll just share hers. We are all here, and we show up
Yeah.
differently.
Yeah.
We show up
Yeah.
differently. I show
Definitely.
up in having conversations,
Right. Right.
you
Right.
know
Right.
and I can see you doing that eventually.
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Everything takes time.
everything. Listen, I've been
Yeah.
doing this for the last 14 years,
Wow.
and I'm just becoming comfortable.
Wow. Wow.
You
That's
see what I
amazing.
mean?
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah. So
just
it takes
becoming
time.
It takes time,
Yeah.
and we
Yeah.
have to work on ourselves every day,
Exactly. Exactly.
right?
And that's a key word. You just said
every
it right there.
hmm
Working on ourselves.
we
Stop
have to.
pointing the other finger.
Yeah,
Because
but we have
that's
to
when yeah.
point it back here.
Yeah. Yeah.
you know Even with my ex-husband, I when I was going through my own thing, I blame my ex-husband, I blame my mom, my grandmother, I blamed everybody. And I'm going to
Hmm.
be honest with you, it's when I start taking responsibility for my part in it, then
Right.
things start to change.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That is the key thing, because we can sit there and blame and blame and blame and this and that. And I remember having a conversation with him, and I said, I could say this and that about finances or, whatever else. But when I really started to do the healing process and I look back, I said, there's things that I allowed, there's things that I did not know better. So I can't put all the blame on him. I can't put the blame on other people. You have to really look on your inner side and say, where did you go wrong? Or what did you allow? And how did you present yourself? Because if I really, I was really truthful with him. I said, I probably did not give you my full self. I did not present who I needed to be because of past trauma or things that I've been through, that I'm like, I don't know how to process this. I was never taught how to do this. I don't know, how to say this or how to handle this. I was just going through, and I just felt like it was like not robotic, but just kind of like, okay, I'm just going to survive. And that's where I had to realize I can't keep surviving. I need to be thriving. And that's when the change came in. And it's like, this is no, and it's not even so the looking at other people and say, oh, I want to be like that. I was like, no, who am I supposed to be? How am I supposed to show up?
Well, you know what? You just answered my other question, because
Oh,
I was going to ask who is she, so this is perfect. So Shireen, continue. Who is Shireen? How are you showing up? Thank you.
see how it all leads into that? Wow. Like when I really think of, because we always say we're supposed to have an elevator pitch of who we are and what we are. But what I can really truly say is that I'm a passionate woman. I love life. I love people. I love the fact that I'm alive. I couldn't say that maybe a couple years ago. Not that I was ever suicidal, but I almost got to the point of complacency and saying, well, you know what, this is my life, so I'll just put up with what I'm going to get. And when I started to realize that, no, 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 life is not supposed to be endured, it's supposed to be enjoyed. So, how am I going to enjoy it? So in that process, you have to, I had to look at myself, but then I also had to drop a lot of things. I had to drop a lot of people. I had to kind of remove myself from the current situation I was in and start to do the reflection work and the shadow work. And I don't know, a lot of people if they've heard that, but that's shadow work is scary
It is
because you're looking
scary.
at the darkest parts of you, why you react the way you do, why you are handling situations as you do, why you say what you do. And for me, even going through that process, it's not even something where you can say, okay, sign up to a course or whatever. A lot of it has to do with just your own reflection, taking the time to meditate. Even there is readings that you can find about that. But what I found the strongest thing that helped me that to do that is meeting people who have done that work themselves and connecting with them and them seeing. So just like how you say you're seeing my post, someone else saw me before I even knew myself
Mm-hmm. Isn't
and
that always the
spoke
case
into my
though?
life. Yes.
Yes. Yes. Oh my
And I was
God.
like, what are you talking about? But had doubt, but then I still was like, but no, if you can see me and I know I want to be more, then let me expand on that. And it took years later for us to reconnect. But I always appreciate the fact that when you make connections with people, to be respectful, to be, even if you don't understand, don't count it out because that connection may not happen right then, but years down the line.
It will.
And when I started my healing journey, this was the same woman was the one that was pivotal in not just speaking into my life, but drawing out the goddess of who I was and saying that, no, 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 I see this. You have to believe it. So it's really taking those limiting beliefs and starting to turn them into positive beliefs and it takes time. It's not an overnight process. Definitely not.
When the student is ready, the teacher would appear.
Yes.
Because when
Yes.
she said it later earlier on, you're just like, it's not
Yeah.
me, but you
Yeah.
weren't ready.
No, I wasn't
It's just
ready.
like, sometimes you have tons of books. You're drawn to a book and you'd have tons of
Yes.
books and you get it, you don't want it. Then
Yes.
all of a sudden, okay, you can't get enough of this book. Because at
Yes.
that point you weren't ready. So
Yes.
you weren't
Yes.
ready, you're ready now.
Yes.
And you're
Yes.
right. A lot of people usually see us before we see ourselves.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And I really love the part that you touched on the whole shadow work.
Yes.
And this is again going back. And a lot of people don't want to do the shadow work because to them they don't want to go back to the hurt and the pain. So it's like they
Right.
put this little band-aid over it, but at one point in their life, we have to deal with it
Yes. You have
because we're
to.
going to be stuck.
You have
So
to.
the
Yeah.
simple matter of the fact that, you went back, you did the work, you start believing in Shireen and Shireen's ability and the goddess that you are is when things are going to just starting to change and it will
Yes.
only get better. And then
Yes.
more people who's aligned with you and even higher is going to be attracted to you,
Yeah.
which
Yeah.
is amazing,
Yes. It is.
you know?
It's sometimes overwhelming, but
In a
it's
good
all in
way
the right timing. Yes. Oh,
or
definitely in a
okay.
good way. Definitely in a good
Okay.
way, because it's that acceptance. You know what I mean? So it's acceptance. But one of the things I have realized also with that is we really have to take that time to really quash those negative
Self-talk.
thoughts and that limiting beliefs, because when somebody does have that belief in you, after a while it will get tired if you keep saying no, no, no. Like they as much as they believe in you, they're gonna pull
Mm-hmm.
away, because it's like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, if she don't see it, then I can't. And you don't want to lose those kind of
No,
connections.
you don't. But the same thing time too, right? I believe that we are in a time of age and we have to own up to seeking help.
Right, right,
Shireen, you know that there was something going on with you, and you make a choice
right,
to look at because it didn't feel well. Like
right,
our
right,
body talks or organs talk or our mind speaks. So
right,
this doesn't feel well. This doesn't sit well. And you know
right,
you're supposed to be living, not only existing. You're supposed
right,
to be
right.
enjoying rather than sitting in that dark thought. And you took steps. You took
Yes.
steps to fix or correct you,
Right.
right? That's okay. And it's the same thing here too. Like
Yes.
as women and men, we have choices.
Yes. Yes.
We have choices. Reach out and touch. Just like
Yes.
you mentioned the guy who gave you the secret. You said he needed work, but he
Hmm.
was just at that point time, he was just passing on a message. Probably
Yep.
he doesn't even know why he sent it to you.
Yep. No,
Okay,
not at all.
know how our creator work.
Yes,
You know what I
definitely.
mean? It
Definitely.
is. It wasn't for him. It was for you.
Yeah.
Film
Yeah.
time to come yet. And
Yes.
you've earned so much from just
Oh
even
my
watching
gosh.
that, right? It's opened up so many things.
Yeah, most definitely.
So,
Most
Miss
definitely.
Change Specialist. All right, tell me a little bit about Change Specialist. Because I know you're doing your little things and you're posting and you're doing them
Hmm.
nice things.
Yeah.
Tell me, what is a change specialist again?
I never really put a phrase to it. But
Mm-hmm.
when I think of change, like change is inevitable. Like that's just it has to happen, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it's how you embrace that change, right? And how you handle that change and what do you do with it. So for me, it's like I said, I like a little risk. I like change. I like to take on different tasks and different challenges. But I always also found that it's how I embrace that change. So I can take it and be bitter or become better. I can take it and get depressed and just say, oh well, there's nothing I can do. But once you start thinking in a positive mindset, you start to look at the positive of that situation. And when you do that, it pushes away the negative. It could still be there, but you're dwelling on the positive. And what I have found over the years is that when you focus on the positive, you get positive. So
Listen, you just don't understand how you're making my body just vibrate. Listen, Serene, you have no idea what you're doing to me right now. Like,
gosh,
seriously, it just melts my heart to speak to a woman that has gotten it. Our people,
yes, we
our
struggle.
sisterhood is still struggling. But the
Yeah.
simple fact that you came out of that, what's the word I'm looking for? You came out of that bubble or that
Yes.
box.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah. I think I jumped out. No,
You
no.
leaped out.
Yeah. I think I may have peeked out a couple times, but when it was time
And
to
will
come
come,
out, I just jump right
and
out.
that's it. And follow the box and bun it and dash it out because it's
Ah,
not a part of you anymore.
exactly. Exactly.
You
Never going
know?
back to the box. Never going back to the box.
What's that? It's so funny. Like when we were in that box, we thought there was no light at the tunnel. And when we
Right.
get out of the box and you see this beautiful light, you just want to go
Right.
deeper and you just want to go forward to this beautiful
Right.
light.
Right. Right.
Shireen, we have to have a part two. Like seriously. I think I'm so more in love with you now than before
Oh my
because
gosh.
honestly, you're so articulate and
Mm, thank
the
you.
women who are listening to this must realize that, but see, if Shireen can do it, then I can do it too.
Oh,
And
And
we
trust me,
and that's what we
yeah,
want.
yeah, yeah.
We're here. We're
Oh,
here to
I would love
teach.
it. I would love it.
Yes,
Yeah,
we're
yeah,
here to teach.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
We're doing it.
yeah. And it doesn't take much. That's the thing. It doesn't take much. It's just you have to be
Mindset.
willing to change your mindset. You have to
Mm-hmm.
be willing to associate yourself around people who think like that. And sometimes when you pull yourself away, that's where the challenges come because people don't understand. Whoa, what me do her? Why I don't want to talk to her? Why she don't want to talk to me? And they don't realize that you're working on yourself. And I had to push those mindsets back as well too because I had a goal. I knew what I wanted to do, and the thing is, like I said, I'm not in my 20s, so part of me could have said, well, at 50, well, life is over, or I'm not doing anything. That's when my life just began.
Listen to me. We have to have a part two. Then we're going to talk about life in our late 40s and 50s because I
Yes.
thought it was going to be an end of that too.
Yeah.
But we're
Yeah.
not touching that tonight.
Yes.
I think we're going to have a part two. And
Okay.
seriously, so that in the part, I will talk to you afterwards. So I'm going to
Yes.
tighten this up.
Okay. Okay.
So, Sharian, thank you so
Mhm.
much for joining me, Miss
It was a
Change
pleasure.
Specialist. And going forward, I'm going to be calling you Coach
Oh,
Change
oh
Specialist.
dear.
So I'm
Are you
putting that
speaking
on
into
you.
my
I
life?
am
You're speaking
speaking
into my
into your,
life?
I am so speaking that into your life because honestly, as I told you, you have such a beautiful vibration and an amazing spirit.
Oh, thank
And
you.
I could
That's
sit
good.
and listen to you all night, but I refuse to do that because we have to have a part
Part
two.
two. Part two. Yes. And I think that's
Yeah.
a great idea because there's lots to come and share in part two
Yes.
because this is what I'm going through. I want other women to experience as well
This is
too.
where I'm saying we want to experience it. And you saw that I got nominated
Oh,
to go to
yes.
listen,
I
and
almost asked you if I can come in the suitcase.
listen. Anyways, part
It's
two.
another part. Yes.
We're
Yes.
getting so excited.
It was such a
Um,
pleasure, Donna. Thank you so much.
you're
I
welcome.
appreciate you so
So I'm
much.
going to tighten this up. Don't
Okay.
move.
Okay.
Um, this conversation with Shireen, we're talking about from the moment that we were born or conceived from that little egg, from that sperm hidden that egg, and we know we're going to be birthed. We have been carrying on trauma and stories from our mothers or our grandmothers or our great grandmothers or ancestors. And we're holding on to those stories and we're wondering what the heck is wrong with us. Then we were birthed. And then we all have these negative connotations around us, surrounding us in every form, and did not give our young brains to think of ourselves on our own. And then,
Mhm.
we're cracked. Then we got married and the cycle continues. Then we have kids and the cycle continues. But we have to make up our mind, if not now, when? Cut that cycle, start a new cycle, wake up, come out of the hypnotized face and go forward.
Right.
This is Donna Savage with Talk with Savage Desires. Cheers.